following is a local resident producer's program. The program content is the sole responsibility of the producer and does not necessarily reflect the views or policies of CATV2, Oshkosh Community Media Services, the City of Oshkosh, or Time Warner Cable.
Hi everybody, welcome to another edition of Eye on Oshkosh. Cheryl Hentz here, and very happy tonight to welcome back two old friends. Well, not chronologically, but they're old in that they've been here many, many times. We've got Joni Geiger and Cheryl Rosenthal from the Oshkosh Area Humane Society. And I thought it would be nice to have them on because this is spring right now. Every animal around seems to be having babies right now, and that's presenting problems for pets and all kinds of things. And some pets, if they're not spayed or neutered, they're having babies as well. So we're going to talk about that amongst a whole other thing, bunch of things tonight. So anyway, guys, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
I appreciate it so much.
Love being here.
It's always fun, and you know, this is the one show that I never have to do any prep for because I know this like the back of my hand. And, you know, I mean, animals are my passion. Anybody who watches knows that. Yeah. You guys certainly know that. So I've got a list of notes here that you guys brought of things you wanted to talk about, but I made absolutely no notes. But it's still
did you want to leave?
You guys want to talk? I'll go. No, the first thing we wanted to talk about is you guys have a new program, if you will, called Live to Play. And I know we've got a short video that we want to show of that in a little bit, but what is Live to Play? And how did it come to be a new program for the shelter?
It is a dog program, and it is exactly what it says. It is dogs playing together in large groups, and it's something that we went to the HSUS conference, the Humane Society of the United States conference, this spring, and there was a speaker. This was a long-day workshop. I got a couple people certified in it, and it is so cool, Cheryl. I can't tell you. We have a dog park across the street, and what happens is we take multiple dogs, anywhere from 12 to 15 dogs, and all they do is play. And they have a great time. It is such a great stress reducer for them. It's just so cool. It's such an exciting program. However, it does take some staffing time, and it does take some training and so on and so forth, and we really hadn't budgeted for it this year. So we wanted to talk a little bit about it, Cheryl and I did, because you know, we're hoping that people might consider gifting to help continue the program, because we're only into it probably 30 days, and we're seeing great success.
After the first week, you could just notice a difference in the dogs. And the important thing, Live to Play, is literally just play. It's dogs playing with dogs. There are no toys. There's very limited human interaction. The humans that are out there in the dog park are there to observe and make sure that there aren't any scuffles, but there's no petting or, you know, not a lot of, and throwing the ball, that type of thing. It is the dogs interacting with other dogs, and what a wonderful way for our staff to learn more about these dogs that are available for adoption, to see how they're going to react to other dogs, to different situations, and to see them being a real dog. I think a lot of times when you go to the Humane Society and you see these animals in their kennels, you're not seeing the real dog. You know, it's kind of like for some people when they have to go and do public speaking. That isn't always the real person because they're nervous and they're sweating.
I've seen a couple of those lately.
Yeah. So the dogs really just get to relax, and when they get back in the kennels, they're tired. And they're like, gee, I'm glad to see my little wall with the water bowl.
Yeah.
You know, and so it is. It's just so exciting. And big dogs with little dogs, big dogs that are well matched. The rough and tumble guys have somebody to rough and tumble with, and it just makes you smile when you go out there and you see the dogs.
Really does.
It just really makes you see the benefit of the importance of dogs that are in a shelter situation, having some fun.
So that was going to be my question. This is something that you're promoting because it's a program for you all. It's not something that you're necessarily promoting for people like me who have dogs.
Oh, no.
Okay, all right.
Dogs that are in a shelter situation are under a great deal of stress, and they have no outlet. And no matter how far our dog walkers walk the dogs or take them out and play with them, it's not the same. It's almost like Live to Play is almost the canine version of aerobic exercise.
Okay.
They get to be with other animals of their own kind who are having the same issues, and just being able to burn off steam and helping them deal with the stress of being at a shelter.
Okay.
So it makes them easier for our staff and our volunteers to handle. They're more eager to go for walks. They're more settled in their cage. They present better. When people ask questions, we can show video about them, and people can actually see, wow, that's really a cool dog. Look at how nice he plays with those other dogs, and that type of thing. So we always encourage people like you who are dog owners. It's so important that your dogs get to play.
Sure.
But it's even more imperative that dogs that are living in a kennel situation day after day after day after day have an outlet, something really positive and fun to do.
Okay. Well, let's roll that video and take a look at these dogs living to play.
Now we start out.
That is a really cute video.
It is, isn't it?
But so educational at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I wanted to ask one thing real quickly. You mentioned that they're in the dog park, and that's a dog park across the street from your shelter. That's not open to the public, right? That's property that you own?
That's private property.
It's our private dog park where shelter dogs are allowed to exercise. It's where we do dog mixes. If you're going to adopt a dog and we want to do an introduction, that's a good place for us to do that. So it is not open to the public.
Okay, all right, good. So, Joni, you were saying, we were just kind of talking amongst ourselves, you start them out with leashes?
We start them out with leashes because, you know, you have to, you're always mixing, you know, it's not the same group because different dogs come and go and so on and so forth. So you need to use some some good common sense when you're doing some mixes. So we'll start out with leashes, and sometimes they'll drag a leash just to kind of make sure that everything's okay, because it kind of impedes things a little bit and slows things down, so that we can do this. But the nice thing about this is that the staff is very well trained for this, and they're watching body language, and they're making sure that everybody is looking good. And Cheryl said it before, you're bound to have scuffles. I mean, it happens. You know, not everybody's going to get along, but dogs really do work it out amongst themselves. They really do figure it out. We're generally the biggest problem, because we're being a little preempt on some of those things. So the truth of the matter is we've found that, just like Cheryl says, we're putting small dogs in with big dogs. Play styles, we're getting to identify a lot of play styles. You know, we can tell if someone just really does the rough and tumble, or someone's just kind of more of a sensitive dog. And it's just so incredibly cool, because just like Cheryl says, you walk in those kennels after they're done, and everybody's quiet, and they're all down, and they're just really at peace.
And then you have your dogs that don't know how to play appropriately. They've maybe never been with other dogs. And then you'll get a really laid-back dog who loves everybody, likes everybody, and kind of guides that dog and teaches that dog, oh, this is how you play.
Yeah.
Or dogs that adapt their play style to the dogs that they're with. And I think it's really important that this program really can't be run by volunteers. You need to have people that are well-trained, well-versed in body language, and what are you looking at, and what are the do's and don'ts, and making sure that everybody at our shelter has their vaccinations and that type of thing. But you just have to have so many things in a row to make sure that this is successful. And you don't want anybody to get hurt, and you want it to be a fun time. And that's why it has to be a program that has some
staff-driven.
And that's the need for the extra funding.
That's the funding. My goal is to do it 3 days a week, 3 staff, 3 hours. So, you know, that's a 27-hour program, which, again, just never gets built into the budget.
We are offering, right now, if you go to our website and you click on the donations, Live to Play, if you want to be a top dog, you can do that for as little as $10 a month.
Really?
$10 a month, you can be a top dog, because, and what you're doing to be a top dog, you are committing to give $10 a month. So that's what, $120 a year.
Very good, Cheryl.
Yeah. No calculator or anything. $120 a year. We don't contact you. This is on your honor. You either send your money in regularly once a month, and or you can contact our office and have it deducted from your bank account through our
She's
office.
familiar with this, yeah.
So
but other people may not be.
And you can become a top dog. And that is a way, if you really love dogs and this is a program that you would really like to support, that is a way for us to really get this program up and running. Because we don't want it to go away. We've seen too many benefits from it.
Okay. So go to OAHS and click on donate, and then top dog. Or if you want to make a donation to some other program or need, that's fine too. Monies are never turned down at the shelter.
Look for Live to Play, and then it'll tell you how to become a top dog.
Okay. And so if I wanted to support this, I mean, as you guys know, I already support something each month and have for years. So then I would just do this in addition, and they could set it up so that they would just pull an extra $10 a month.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else that we want to talk about with Live to Play?
No, I think we covered it, and I think people can kind of see what it's all about. It's a pretty simple program. It works with the basis of just dogs having a good time, emotionally dealing with their stress and burning all those things off, and just being dogs.
Do you take them over to the park then, like 2 at a time, and then gradually introduce more, or does somebody actually walk all those dogs over at the same time?
We kind of one at a time.
Yeah, we slowly introduce one, and then another one, and another one, and another one.
So just keep building.
Yeah, you keep building it up.
Good, makes sense. Okay, I mentioned in the intro that, this is spring, at least today it feels like spring. A couple days ago,
winter.
It felt like fall, who can tell, but with the amount of rabbits running around that I see and all the other wildlife that people are seeing, you can definitely tell it's spring. So how does that factor in with any of our house pets.
Okay.
Other than that, my dogs are trying to kill rabbits every other day, it seems.
Yeah,
You know.
that is a problem. Rabbits, when rabbits are born, they're kept in a nest in the ground, and the mom rabbit only visits dusk and dawn. And when people find a nest in their yard, the best thing that they can do is for the next week or so, leash walk their dogs out in the yard. Otherwise, you're going to be having bunnies scattered all over or cleaning up bunnies. When bunnies are about the size of a small fist, or you see little baby bunnies sitting out during the day, those bunnies don't need their mama anymore.
Okay.
And a lot of times people are bringing us those baby bunnies
And they don't need
and
to.
saying, you know,
I found this.
I found this and it needs help. Now, sometimes when people are mowing lawn, you don't know the nest is there, you run over the nest, and the bunnies all scatter. Put the bunnies back in the nest, or just leave the bunnies and they'll go back to the nest. If they don't go back, you can put them in the nest, cover the nest back up. Don't think that your scent is going to deter them, because it
Everybody
won't.
thinks that.
I was going to say that. I was just making a note here because I didn't want to interrupt. But if the mother is still visiting, because I've heard that, and I've seen that on TV too, that your human scent, the mother rabbit.
It's a myth.
It's a myth.
It is.
It is.
Okay.
What it does, when you touch baby rabbits or you touch any baby animal, what you've done is you've left a trail for predators to follow.
Okay.
Baby animals, baby rabbits in particular, are born with no scent, so predators can't find them. So put them back in the nest, cover them up. Then if you want to make sure that mama isn't dead, in case, you know, she could have been hit by a car or taken by a hawk or whatever, take the nest, cover it up with leaves or whatever, and then lay a string or a piece of yarn over the top. Then the next morning or that next evening, if you can tell that that string has been disturbed, that means mama's been there. Mama's taking care of
So
her
the babies
babies.
themselves wouldn't disturb it.
No,
No.
Okay.
no. When they're in there, they're
They're
hiding.
Okay.
They're
That's
safe in
very
there.
interesting. And you see, I've not seen any baby bunnies in my yard. All I see are the bigger rabbits, and I'm telling you, you'd think that they could smell dogs in a yard and would be smart enough to stay
Yeah,
away.
yeah.
And they're not. They're really, cute as they are, they're dumb animals. They have to be. Stay out of a yard with dogs.
Yeah.
You know,
I
mean,
have the same problem.
well, last week, no, 2 weeks ago now, as we're taping this, you know, I let them out at night, and I usually, you know, if it's dark, and at nighttime it is, I'll usually rap on the door, make some noise, so that rabbits will scatter if
Scatter.
they're around.
Sure.
And I just didn't think of it. You know, I was getting ready to go to bed, and I thought, nah, I just, you know, I just let them out. And all of a sudden, I hear this thud, bang, bang, and I can tell that the animals are hitting a shed that we have in our yard. And then I thought, oh, crap. So I quick turn around and go back to the door just in time to see this rabbit slamming into the chain link fence that we have. Almost made it out.
Yeah.
And my one dog grabbed it and pulled it back in. And the next thing I know, I hear that horrible screaming.
Oh, it's just terrible.
And
Just terrible.
so I got the dogs in right away. One of us got the dogs in, the other one got the rabbit out of the yard. And right away, I mean, I know that when a rabbit dies, fleas right away jump
All
to
the
a living
fleas
host.
go to your dog.
So I very quickly took a look at the dogs, and sure enough, I found like 4 or 5 little fleas. And I said, all right, well, I guess I'm not going to bed.
No, you're not.
So at 12:30 at night, we're bathing
man,
dogs,
yeah.
all 3 of them.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
Yeah,
and by the time that was all done, like around
Yeah.
1:30, 1:45, I'm all wound up, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So you never went to bed?
I went
Just
to bed a
about.
few hours later. But thank God that there's a lot of good things on late at night.
You know, that is a problem. You know, the rabbits, and there really isn't anything that...
There isn't, but you can, just like you can do some
Right.
cautionary things.
Right.
As
We
far
turn
as
on the
like
light,
rapping.
we pound
Yeah,
on our screen
right.
door, rattle the, you know, if you have a chain link fence, rattle it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I did this last year in my garden. I took old CDs because they're shiny, and I hung them from my fence. And when they have just a little bit of a shimmer to them, if they move just a little, it scares the rabbits. and it kept the rabbits
Well, that's
out
a
of the
good
side
idea
yard.
because I am trying to keep them just out of the yard.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is the second time that we've had to clean fleas off of the dogs. But you know, the thing is, I'm very cognizant to catch it right away because,
Sure.
you know, like my vet said the first time it happened, he said, as long as it's the eggs falling off of the dog, and then you have it in your carpet, and then you
Right.
get this big infestation in your
Right.
house. So he said, make sure that you check right
Yeah.
away,
And it
like you
seems
did.
The only other thing you can do is make sure that your fence is all the way down to the ground. But invariably, they come in the gate.
Well, that's-
and then
and
they
that's
don't
where
know,
they're
and
getting
then they
in.
don't know.
Yeah.
So it's almost
Yeah.
like you almost have to leave the gate shut, and then you have to go out and open the gate every time you want the dogs in and out.
Well, but they're
So-
getting through too where the gate
Oh,
connects with the
where the
fence.
gate
So
connects.
it's a problem.
So-
So what else about wildlife? Let's talk about that.
Baby squirrels, baby birds, any wild animal that you find, don't touch. The best thing we can do is don't touch. Let Mother Nature take its course.
Other than
I
these
know
baby rabbits. The baby rabbits we touch to put them back in the
Yeah,
nest, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Put them back in their nest.
Okay.
I'll never forget, we had a gentleman, he came into the shelter and he's so out of breath because he had been running around all afternoon and he caught 5 baby rabbits. And then, and we told him, if you have to chase them to catch them, they don't, they don't need protecting.
They don't need protecting. No.
So what we're talking about are those animals like baby squirrels or baby birds that fall out of their nest. When in doubt, don't touch. Call the Humane Society. Find out who you can call to take them to. Don't feed them. Don't even give them water.
Don't try to give them a worm or
Yeah,
any of those
just-
other kinds
just
of things.
don't do it.
It just doesn't work.
They told the gal from the one wildlife place told me, she said, if you have a baby bird that maybe got into the road and you pick it up and you don't know where to put it and you have to put it in a box, she said, if you just can't help but not to give it something to eat, put in a slice of apple. A slice of apple. But otherwise, just leave them be. We do more harm a lot of times by trying to, give them milk or
Intercede,
to,
yeah.
Milk. Cow's milk is not like mama's milk. Baby animals need their mamas. That's the best thing that we can do. So if we can advise people to call the shelter. We can refer you to different rehab groups.
Aves is wonderful
is
in
one
Neenah.
for birds.
What's the name of it?
Aves,
AVES.
And to learn what we should do. People find, sometimes people will find, we got a call last week, somebody found a hawk with a broken leg. Out at Menards there was another bird that hit a window that had a broken wing. The Humane Society can't do anything for those animals. So if people are willing to transport, that really saves us a lot of time. And let the wildlife people tell you what you can do. If it's late at night or you can't transport yet, how can you care for that animal until you can get it transported? Now I know that in the past we have volunteers that sometimes will transport to
Sure.
Green Bay, but those are far and few between. But the best thing to do, I think, is for people to just call the shelter, what do I do, and we will tell them what to do. And I believe it is illegal for people to...
It is absolutely illegal.
have-
And the Becca, who is over at Aves, is a certified wildlife rehabber.
Right.
So what is it illegal to
It's
do?
illegal to keep a wild animal as a pet.
Okay. Yeah. And yet so many people still do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people are well-intentioned. As human beings, I want to save it, I want to fix it, I want to help it. And sometimes it's best if we just leave Mother Nature alone.
Well, I keep, in my car, I keep gloves and so forth, but, you learn all these things over the years. And
A leash, a carrier, yeah.
yeah. Some treats, high-quality treats,
exactly.
what have you. I remember a number of years ago, I saw, it was not a huge bird like a hawk, but it wasn't a little sparrow either, or a
Right.
robin. And it was laying in the road, and it had what I thought was a broken wing. So got the gloves out, picked it up, and one of us in the car held it, and I called, can't remember if I called you guys or if I called the police department. It was at night, but I don't remember who I called. And somebody gave me a phone number to like a bird place, and I actually met them in, I think it was Winneconne or Winchester, and they took the bird, you know, and I hope that they were able to save it, but they were very helpful.
Yeah.
Well, that's
So,
good.
Well, good for you, though. I mean,
know.
because, I mean, that
well,
would-
I didn't want it
that-
to just lay there because
that made
somebody
a
would come
difference,
along
yeah.
and kill it,
Yeah.
Right.
either purposely or not.
Yeah.
Anything else about wildlife?
I just want to mention ducks real quick, because
Okay.
ducks crossing the road, ducks, you know, mama ducks, that type of thing. And so, again, what we tell people is just to, you know, just to use some common sense. Babies are going to follow mama, and, you know, if you find a single duck, Cheryl's right, give us a call. We'll give you some instructions. And turtles, same thing. We want people to understand if a turtle's crossing a road, if you want to help it, great, stop. Put it on the side of the road that it's heading towards. Okay, don't turn it around. Turn it towards where it's
Okay.
going to. So just a cautionary thing. Just people just using some common sense and being careful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you know, you don't want to get hurt. They all have some type of parasites, so
Sure.
you want to be, you know, you just want to be cautious.
Well, that's good to know. One of our younger nephews, it was 2 or 3 weekends ago, we were at my father-in-law's place, and he lives on the water and so forth, and they found, as they were out walking, they found a small turtle. Well, the one picked it up and took it home to Milwaukee for a pet. So, you know, and I didn't think anything of it, you know. I mean, so this is good information for me to have. I thought nothing of it. So what may happen to that turtle? I mean, it's going to grow, obviously.
Yeah, it may not survive.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we also should mention briefly, sometimes people will live trap squirrels and chipmunks and other animals and transport them and let them go in the country. That's deadly for them. It's kind of like
They don't have a food source. They don't have a water source.
we're taking them to a new territory. So you take this little animal, whether it be a rabbit, a squirrel, or a chipmunk, or a bird, and you take it to a different habitat, and they don't know where the food is, they don't know where the water is, they don't know where the predators are, and they don't have a home base. So they're very, very vulnerable. So they're probably going to die. So
That's good information for me to know too, because I never really thought about that. So if you don't want to transport something because it's basically a death sentence for them, how do you go about, excuse me, keeping things like rabbits out of your yard or chipmunks out of your yard?
There's deterrents that you can purchase over the counter. You can buy those kinds of things. That's really the best way to do that. I always encourage somebody, if they feel so strongly about they have to get something out of their yard, then again, use the wildlife rehabber, you know, because they know how to relocate animals, and so
Right.
we would encourage them to call.
Okay.
That's really the best way
Right,
to do
set
it.
something
It can
up
be
with them.
done, but it's got to be done the right way.
Yeah, I would really like to keep the rabbits out of the yard, and so maybe I'll look into buying something like that, because I don't want them to be killed,
Right.
and I don't want to have to keep bathing my
your
dogs.
dogs.
at midnight.
Yeah, or any time of the day or night.
Right,
for that matter.
exactly.
Okay, so spay and neuter transport. You guys have been doing this a while, and I know we've talked about it before, but for sure we want to talk about it again. How is that going? You transport them to Madison, right?
Right,
Yeah.
we're kind of the drop-off place for it, so people can sign up with us, they pay with us, we give them all the information, we explain how the program works, they drop the cat or dog off on one night, and then the van comes and loads everybody up and then transports them down to the clinic, and then the next night is when they drop them off again. So we find that it has been an extraordinarily successful program. We're actually, knock on wood, thinking that we're seeing some impact of, you know, less births, you know, at springtime. So, and the truth is that it's a win-win all the way around.
Sure.
Animals are healthier, there's going to be less animals born, because unfortunately there's just not a lot of homes for all of them. So, and it's low cost. So people who, you know, financially just, it's a burden, they can't afford it, you know, they need to give us a call and see if, you know, we can work something out for them.
Okay.
Well, and what's nice is the spay or neuter includes a rabies vaccination. And so, you know, it's kind of a multi-purpose. You don't, well, I have to take them to the vet to get a rabies shot then. Nope. Get them spayed and neutered. They can do the rabies vaccination. I think that for $5 more or something, they can do the distemper.
Distemper vaccination.
So there's a lot of
That's a
different
really
things
good deal.
that they can
Yeah.
do. So
It is, very
they
much
should
so.
contact the shelter and ask about the spay-neuter transport.
Okay. And what's the name of the organization that you work with down there?
It's called Spay Me.
Spay Me. Okay. Wasn't there something, storm, something or other?
Shelter in the storm.
Shelter in the storm.
Or shelter
from the storm.
Shelter from the
Yeah.
storm.
Shelter from the storm. Yeah, same
I think Spay
organization.
Me is part of
Yes,
that.
they've kind of grown up to another name here. So
Okay.
yeah,
All
so,
right. Okay. So Spay Me.
Spay Me.
What about neutering?
Yes, well, we
Neuter
do.
me?
A lot of times people don't know the difference. So,
Yeah, well,
you know,
that's true, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just call it Fix Me.
Fix me, yeah. Alter me.
There we go.
You know, concerns about dog transport, dog flu, all of these things we want to touch on. Somebody was recently talking to me about why can't I find a dog or a cat in a pet store anymore? And I don't know why the reason is about cats, because I don't know if there's such a thing as a cat mill. But certainly we've all heard about puppy mills. And that's where the animals, the dogs in pet stores have typically
Primarily
came
came from.
is from puppy mills. So can we talk about that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. You know, just because we are talking to the public, a puppy mill is a farm, a factory farm for dogs, and the sole purpose it is to make money off those animals. There is no emotion attached to it. There's no real care given to those animals. They live a horrible, horrific life. The females and the males, and they're in very small cages generally, because you're trying to keep your costs down so you can pump those babies out, and that's really all it's about. Unfortunately, what happens at pet stores previously, they would purchase these dogs at a very early age because they would have to transport them up from these farms, and a lot of times they would take them away from their mother at 4 weeks of age.
Wow.
And then they would transport them up to these puppy mills because they got to be really cute and young, and so people will spend $500 on a little teeny tiny puppy. So everything that you could possibly do wrong for those dogs, they're doing. And it's incredibly sad, and it's a horrific abuse, and it is just a thing that should end as soon as possible, but so to answer your friend's question, that is why, because there's so much more awareness now than there ever has been before. So retail stores are actually taking a responsible high road and saying, we're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to, let these people profit, from this cruelty that they're creating for these animals, and so they're opting to do other things. And a lot of times they'll host adoption events with shelters or rescue groups or those kinds of things, and so that's a much better, more humane way of, people getting animals.
And the heartbreak that people who purchase animals from a pet store, the heartache that some of them go through because the animals that are coming in have a lot of health concerns or behavioral issues or whatever. And then they have these medical issues and the behavioral issues, and they love their puppy. And it becomes very
thousands
expensive.
Of dollars.
Thousands of dollars. And sometimes they end up losing the animal or having to have it, put down. And it's heart-wrenching, and it's a horrible situation for everybody.
Yeah,
and we've taken in puppy mill dogs, and it's we've seen both sides. We've seen the puppy mill dogs that have come into the shelter and have been groomed and worked with and have been adopted into homes and have just blossomed and flourished. And then there are others that they just never recover from
they shut
that
down.
life.
They just shut down.
Well, and here in Wisconsin, we are very fortunate to have the Wisconsin Puppy Mill Project. You know, and I can't think of their website address offhand. I think it's No More Puppy Mills.
It is No More Puppy Mills, yeah.
Okay, so nomorepuppymills.org probably, right? Okay. What a memory. I haven't said that website address in years. nomorepuppymills.org. And you can see some of the horrific conditions that these animals are born into, and raise the first couple weeks or so of their lives in this environment. And, you know, we are very fortunate here in Wisconsin to have good humane societies like the Oshkosh Area Humane Society and so forth. But if you're watching this on YouTube and you live in another part of the country where dogs or cats are sold in pet stores, for God's sake, please don't do that. At least investigate or try to investigate where they're getting their animals from, because more than likely it is from a puppy mill, and we don't want to continue to perpetuate this. We want to shut puppy mills down from coast to coast in this country. It's the right thing to do, and it has to happen.
It does. It does.
So
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
look into where you're buying the animal from, or better yet, just go to a humane society, you know, an animal shelter, or a responsibly run rescue group, something. Do not buy an animal from a puppy or from a pet store.
Yeah.
I guess that's the safest thing to say and do. And I just heard of one in Virginia this last week, and they were advertising these dogs. It was Dalmatians, actually. They were advertising these dogs as AKC registered, but they wouldn't show the potential buyers any paperwork. They wouldn't give them any information about you know, the place where they supposedly came from. They wouldn't give them anything. And they were charging like $3,000, I think it said. I mean, that's just, yeah, exactly. You know, if you're going to spend that kind of money, you're going to want to see some information. And if they're not willing to show it to you, then, you know, just...
Yeah. I want to see Mama and Daddy, too.
The thing is, there are dog-specific rescue groups out there if you want a purebred dog. And what is it, about 30% of the animals that shelters take in are purebreds?
Are purebred. Actually, it's, it's going up.
Is it really?
Yes, it's going up. It's right around 33% now.
Okay.
So shelters are seeing a number of purebred animals, particularly in the southern states, where it is more prevalent to have the puppy mills than it is sometimes in the northern states.
I do a lot of work with different rescue groups, and one in particular, the only dogs she gets are from Alabama.
Yeah.
And, you know, they just don't promote spay and neuter down there the way we do in other parts of the country. And then you've got the puppy mill organizations, and it's just, I mean, one of my dogs came from Alabama.
Sure.
And, you know.
But I also will say there are reputable breeders out there.
Yes.
Yes, there are.
Right.
We need to clarify that, you know, purebred dogs are, and you know, you like Dales, I know that.
Yep.
And I love Labs, and Cheryl, she likes her sighthounds. But there are reputable breeders. So if they want a purebred, that's really the route that we would encourage people to
Sure, because the professional breeders, you don't want to do away with them too, because then you'll have a breed that's going extinct.
Exactly.
Right,
you know,
and you want somebody who is breeding to better the breed.
Yes,
not to not to fatten their pocketbook,
not to exploit them,
to better the breed, breeding for temperament and for health.
Yep.
And then you've got what I call backyard breeders.
Yep.
You know, because they're not as bad as the puppy mills, but they're not nearly as responsible as a professional breeder either. And to my way of thinking, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong because you're the experts, but to my way of thinking, a backyard breeder is someone, say like if I get a dog and it's a purebred and I say, oh, I'd really like her or him to, you know, just have one litter. I'll make a little money off of it, and these great traits will go on. And so I find someone else who has that same kind of, you know, purebred dog, and I let them mate, and we split the profits, and, you know, and you're not making the people who get the pets sign a contract. You know, you're not making them do any of that. You're not as bad as a puppy mill, but
you're taking homes away from animals that are already in shelters.
Yes.
When people allow their pets to breed, they're taking homes away from animals that already are homeless.
Yes, and that's exactly
Supply
the
and
point.
demand.
Yeah, and you're not really caring where those animals are going. You're not doing any home visits. You're not doing any reference checks on these people.
And they're not spaying and neutering them before they go into a new home either.
Yes. Well, they want it to continue.
Right.
You know, I mean, I look at one of my dogs and I think, oh, wouldn't she have had some adorable puppies? But you know what? Those traits are being passed on because she did come from a breeder.
Sure.
And so those traits are being passed on.
Yep.
I don't have to breed her to
Right.
make those traits pass
Right.
on. So,
Absolutely.
we're hearing a lot about dog flu right now. I
yeah.
mean, a lot about it, and we're one of the states that is kind of being hit with it.
Sure.
Tell us what's going on, and is it safe to take dogs to the dog park right now, or, you know, should people refrain from that, or what's the story?
We're using some caution, and even in our organization, you know, it's my understanding that the dog flu has originated right in the Chicago area. So, and you know, Chicago obviously has a multiple number of shelters and so on and so forth. So, I believe was it 7 shelters that are shut down? They're literally closed down. They're shut down. They're dealing with the influenza that they have, but they're not allowing anything to go out, and they're not allowing anything to come in. So, it is a very serious issue, and they're trying to contain it. So, and we have had one case that I'm aware of. I believe it was in Milwaukee, and so they just, again, caution is important. Would I take my dog to the dog park? I probably wouldn't at this point anyways. That would be my, you know, how I would think about that. But yes, and as far as transferring dogs in, I think there's been people, again, shelters are doing some cautionary things to make sure that we're not bringing it into the building. So,
and what kinds of signs should people be looking for? Is it the typical kind of flu signs that, you know, a human might experience, or what are we seeing?
it's generally it'll generally start as coughing.
Okay.
Lethargy, and again, because this is such a different strain and very powerful. I mean, it's a very serious flu. It's not. It's dogs can die from it, particularly
Many
yes,
have.
Yes, particularly if their immune systems have been compromised, whatever the case might be. And a lot of times, shelter dogs are in those situations. So that's primarily what you're going to look for. And really, if you're seeing that, I would recommend getting to the vet. I mean, that's really just important to, you know, just
Treat it right away.
Be proactive if you're seeing some symptoms of coughing, some lethargy, some lack of appetite. I mean, it's important to just do that.
Okay. Are they vomiting at all?
That's towards the end.
Toward the end?
Yep,
Okay.
towards more, you know, but those first 24 hours is what you're going to see, and then you're going to start to see some of that.
Okay, excellent. There have been some changes in animal welfare, too, all across the board. And so I know that you guys wanted to touch on that a little bit. So where do you want to start with that?
Whoa, yeah.
What a loaded question, right?
Yeah.
Where shall we begin?
Yeah. Well, I'll just start with, because the fact is that Cheryl and I are been in this business a long time, but so have you.
Yes.
And truthfully, when we started 20 some odd years ago, things were dire. They were tough, and it was hard, and it still is. But we have seen major improvements over the years. Cheryl and I were just discussing this morning, that probably 20 years ago, it was estimated that anywhere from 12 to 14 animals were being killed.
14 million.
14 million, excuse me. What did I say? 12 to 14?
12 to
Yeah,
14
wouldn't that be
animals.
lovely?
That's
Yes.
a great number, Joni.
12 to 14 million animals a year were being killed. In
shelters
across the United States.
Across the United
Yes.
States, yes. And we are now 2015, and it's estimated that approximately 4 million animals are being killed. So remarkable
It's awesome.
remarkable, but that's a
Still
lot of
far
lives.
too many.
That's a lot of lives.
Yeah.
That's right. Absolutely. So we were talking about no-kill and how things can change, and how no-kill has really, again, back 20 years ago, it was laughed at. People thought it was ridiculous. That how is that even possible that we could be a no-kill nation? And the truth of the matter is that we're getting closer all the time. I don't know if we'll necessarily recognize it in my lifetime, but it is coming. And I think people are becoming more aware because of social media, because of things that are happening. They're recognizing, just like the puppy mills that we talked about, people are starting to realize that how animals are exploited and how all the things that are being done, and what shelters and proactive animal welfare organizations are doing to make these positive changes. So, Cheryl, maybe you want to add to some of the things that we are doing?
Right. Well, and I just want to say right now regarding changes that we're making. An animal shelter or a humane society can only provide the services and the programs that the community supports. And so if you live in a community that doesn't want to save cats, or if you live in a community that doesn't want to save dogs or reptiles or whatever it is, or you don't think it's important to have education programs, your humane society, your local shelter isn't going to be able to provide those services and those programs. And so a local shelter or humane society is only as successful as its community allows it to be through their support, both financial and their physical support. And we have seen the backing of our community as we've taken on these different challenges. And Joni and I have seen a lot of changes in our organization. One of the things that I have always wondered about was the trap, neuter, return. That's the community cats. Community cats are not, they are a natural predator, but they are not a native predator.
Okay.
They're not like your possums and your raccoons and your coyotes that have always lived here. They're something that we as a society have introduced. And now we're unhappy that they're out there.
Yeah.
Well, years ago, the answer was to kill them all. And we found out that doesn't work, does it, Joni?
No, it does not.
It's kind of the vacuum effect. You kill off one colony and two more spring up. Or, like any population of animals, if you kill off too many of them the next spring, they're having twins and triplets for offspring.
Yeah.
And so the trap, neuter, return, I think is very successful, and we're looking into seeing what the actual numbers are, where we take animals and we spay and neuter them, again, turn the faucet off of the animals being born, but put these animals back there, because when you have a colony of cats living in a community and they have support, eventually they will die off, but in the meantime they'll keep new colonies or new animals from moving in.
And talk a little bit, if either one of you, about how quickly two cats can reproduce.
One female cat and her offspring, over a 7-year period, can produce 420,000 kittens.
Say it again for effect, because
One
it's a staggering
female
number.
cat and her offspring, over a 7-year period, will produce 420,000 animals. That's just 80,000 shy of 500,000.
And that's one of the reasons that 4 million animals
are being
being
That's right.
killed, destroyed, put to death, whatever you want to call it, in animal shelters across the
We
country.
see, at our shelter, we see 4 times as many cats as we do dogs. That's the ratio. For every 1 dog, there's 4 cats coming in.
Well, and I want to stress also to people that, just because we have great shelters and knowledge and awareness here, and I've said it before, they don't necessarily in other parts of the country.
No.
And, when we talk about trying to stop puppy mills, we can have an effect here on what happens elsewhere too. And because I do so much rescue work, and I do home visits with people who are looking to adopt from a rescue organization, you know, I talk to people. They say, well, why are so many animals being brought up from the South? It's because, like we said earlier, they don't promote spay and neuter. And when they are putting animals to death down there, not all, but there are many shelters, if you want to use the word shelter. I call them, you know, just...
Holding areas.
Yeah, holding areas, basically, or pounds. They are using, in some cases, far too many cases, gas chambers still. And it's not, oh, they put them to death with a nice little prick in the leg and they take their medicine and go to sleep. That's not the case. They are herded into a gas chamber and gassed to death. And I can't think of much more horrific than that.
It's a horrible, horrible way to die. Horrible.
Again, this is a community problem.
Yes.
A society problem. Everybody has to take responsibility. The full burden cannot be on your rescue groups, your humane societies, your animal shelters.
It's community.
It has to be your community stepping up to the plate, and everybody has to be on board and say, I will not tolerate this. I always tell people, if you don't like your local shelter, go to them and tell them what you don't like about their. They can't fix things if they don't know what they want you to do.
Yep.
And so I think I have my rose-colored glasses on. I choose to believe that the majority of people that are in animal welfare are doing the very best they can. But with more support, with more community support, financial, volunteers, whatever it is that they need, we can have other shelters attain what we've been able to attain. And it's not going to happen overnight, but it can happen.
Sure.
It's just like when Joni came back from her seminar in 2009 and announced to the staff, we are going to become a life-saving shelter. We didn't have any more money the day before. We didn't have any more money the day after, but we're a life-saving shelter. And you just have to change your mindset.
You just change your attitude, you make a commitment, and you do it.
This is what I'm going to do. This is what we are going to do.
Yep.
And you strive for that. And once I think your community and the people around you find out you're serious about doing that, and we're willing, Joni and I and Pat and Rhonda and Tawana and all of our staff, we're willing to do the work. We will do the work. We've been doing it for 20 years. We'll keep doing it. But we can't do it without community support.
Well, and without help from people, too. You know, I too, as you mentioned, Joni, I've been doing animal welfare work for a lot of years. First with you guys, and then with other rescue groups and so forth. And I'm a district leader now for the Humane Society of the United States.
And congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
That's
Thank
cool.
you.
That's
And, you know, I mean, if you are concerned about animals and their welfare, and I don't care what it is, dogs, cats, horses, Wisconsin, the Humane Society of the U.S. here in Wisconsin is looking at starting a horse welfare program. And if you want some information, you can email me, and I can put you in touch with the person who's looking at starting that sometime probably this summer or fall. But, you know, volunteer with somebody. You know, if you truly care about animals, volunteer with a shelter or HSUS or whoever.
And even if you can't volunteer, some people find it very difficult. Do something. Everybody can do something. Be an advocate. Encourage people to have their pets spayed and neutered. Help people take better care of their pet. If you see somebody is struggling, you know, their dog is dragging them for a walk, you know, oh, the shelter has an easy walk harness, or be an advocate in some little way. You don't have to, you know, save the world, but everybody can do something to stand up for animals. Be their voice. Be their voice.
Yeah, because they are voiceless. They bark a lot sometimes. Or they meow very loudly, but they truly are voiceless. And you know, and I want to talk just for a moment about cats running loose. You know, I see cats running loose and not as many as I used to, but I see them running loose. And you know, people say, "Oh, that's a cat's natural instinct to just run loose." It's not. I mean, you know, that is just the most preposterous thing, among the most preposterous things I've ever heard. It's not.
Domestic cats can live a long, wonderful, happy, quality life indoors, period.
And them running loose is helping to perpetuate this whole 400 and some thousand babies. You know,
Well,
over the
and I would
lifetime.
just remind people that in the city of Oshkosh, there's a leash law for cats and for dogs.
Yeah, it's
And
illegal.
I always think of cats are more apt to come in contact with rabid animals than dogs are.
Then dogs are. Absolutely.
Okay.
When
about
somebody's dog is missing, 5 seconds, they're out looking for the dog. The cat, let them go outside.
They'll find their way back home.
Right. So you don't know, did they get tangled up with a raccoon or a bat or anything else?
Did they get hit by a car?
Yeah.
Did they fall prey to someone who just wants to get their jollies by harming an animal or killing an animal?
Yeah.
You know, you don't know what has happened.
Right. And so enrichment. Jackson Galaxy says it best. Catify. Catify your home. Keep your cat inside and catify your house. Get some, you know, extra toys. Rotate their toys, perches, windows for them to look out of. But my cats are pretty happy looking out the window. I had a friend tell me one time, she said, well, I let my cat outside so it gets fresh air. And I told
Open
her,
a window.
That's what I said. I mean, open a window. Open a window. How easy is that? Open a window. And then she said, well, the cat scratches the screen. I said, well, I know that a certain store in town has pet screening. Get some pet screening put on your windows.
And it doesn't really cost that much more.
No.
That pet screen, and it is sturdy. It's
It really
even
is.
to
It
stand
does
up
work.
against
Yeah.
dogs.
Even dogs,
Yep.
yeah. Absolutely.
So again, everybody can do something to help animals.
Sure. And I want to mention, too, because by the time this actually starts airing on television, your event will be over, but I will be uploading this to YouTube probably tonight. And so and I've also got it advertised on my Facebook page and,
awesome.
and the show's website and the show's Facebook page. But you guys are having an Adopter Appreciation Day.
Yes.
2 days from now.
Yeah.
From 10 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. You want to just tell us in our last couple of minutes here what people can expect to find?
It's just a way to celebrate the animals and the people that have adopted from the shelter in the past. And honestly,
We can't save them if nobody adopts them.
yeah. So I mean, we estimate that in all the years that we've been around, we've probably done well over 20,000 animals in adoptions. So we're pretty proud of that, and it's nice to see the friends and the
We're
people.
asking people to bring in a photograph that we can display on our board.
Okay.
And anybody who brings in a photograph of their pet that they adopted from the Humane Society of the United States, or from the Oshkosh Area Humane Society.
It's been a long day.
Yeah, it's been a long day. That they've adopted from the Oshkosh Area Humane Society, multiple pets even, if you have them. Bring their pictures in, and you will get a nice Oshkosh Area Humane Society magnet that you can have. We're having a raffle. So we'll be having
Some cool gifts that you're raffling off, too.
some beautiful cat jewelry, beautiful necklace and matching earrings, a $100 gift certificate to See Spot Run, and then we also have a multi-tiered cat tree that will be raffled off. And you do not need to be present to win. So we're just our volunteers are going to be there selling some wonderful cat toys and dog toys and some other paraphernalia. And we're just going to celebrate the fact that our community has helped us save many, many, many lives. And you know, Cheryl, I'm a believer that when you adopt from a shelter, you save two. You take one home, you've saved that life, but you've made room for another one to come in and be rescued.
That's
so
an
when you
excellent
adopt,
point.
you save two.
That's an excellent point. And raffle tickets are $1 a piece, or 6 for $5.
Right.
So, excellent. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you. It just
so
goes so
fun.
fast.
It does. The hour is over already. I can't even hardly believe it, but it is. But, you know, we'll have you back again.
Sure.
We always do. So, thanks again.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
Good luck with everything you're doing, and thank you for everything you're doing. And that's going to do it for us. Thanks to the crew and to you guys at home for watching, or on the computer, wherever you're watching. Thank you. And we'll see you next time. Until then, take good care. Keep your eye on us. We've got our eye on Oshkosh.
Bye.